So nice to see you in Graz. I never expected that. And also great to have you to talk today. I heard during your presentation that you have been worked for Magna at least for 30 years.
Yeah, first of all, welcome. It's also a pleasure to have you here today in Graz. It had been a while since we met last year in Munich. And yes, you're correct. I'm with Magna since over 30 years now.
Wow, that's a long time.
It's a long time, yeah.
Tell us what about Magna? Why you work so long? It's a great company.
Magna is a great company. Yeah. If you look at Magna, first of all, I think it's part of our DNA that we have an entrepreneurial mindset, and that drives every employee every day to move the needle up. Besides that, when you look at our product portfolio, we can almost deliver a complete vehicle in terms of parts. So we have a very, very broad spectrum of components and systems, starting from sheet metal, chassis components, drivetrain, electronics, mirrors, lighting, you name it. But on top of that, and it makes us very unique, we can also provide complete vehicle solutions and complete vehicles with our engineering expertise and our manufacturing expertise.
That's very special, especially for Tier 1, because I think for Magna, it seems that you can do a very, very wide range of the products, especially in automotive industry.
Yes, that makes us indeed very, very unique compared to other automotive companies.
And you just back from Chengdu, China,
yes.
2 weeks ago. You made a very impressive speech there, talk about the globalization. So we noticed that, especially in recent 3 years, Chinese OEMs are very passionate about go globally, and they do make a lot of achievements. From your perspective, which area they should go first, and what kind of strategy they should take when go globalization?
They should come to Magna Steyr first. That's very important.
Good point.
No, I think, and this also was part of my speech and the presentation that we did in Chengdu 2 weeks ago. I think the European customers are open for new brands and new products, and with that there is a market in Europe, clearly. I think the window of opportunity will not be open forever, so time is of the essence. So from my perspective, they have an opportunity to come overseas to Europe first, but they also need to be cautious because it's not that easy to go into a new region as a company not having been in the region before. That comes with a lot of challenges and tasks, but we at Magna, we are here to support them, and we can provide services of different kinds.
For instance?
For instance, obviously, an automotive plant is a huge investment. We're talking about a couple billions to invest in a new plant. We have an existing infrastructure. We have open capacity, which means they could come to Graz, to Austria, with very, very little investment. And it also provides a fast time to market approach, because you don't need to build a factory, which takes up to 2-3 years. So we could start relatively quick to support them.
Actually, when the tariffs being raised up, more and more Chinese OEM actually they announced to potentially find place to build their plants in Europe.
Yeah, I think what we noticed since the tariffs have been announced earlier this year in July, there's a lot of dynamics now within the Chinese OEMs. They're looking for solutions, alternatives that definitely promotes them to not just import products into Europe, but at the end of the day, they also manufacture the products in Europe. It's a big motivation.
So Magna and Magna Steyr can help them a lot in this kind of field.
Yes, yes. Not just, again, with our engineering manufacturing services here in Graz, but also with the groups. We can help them localize products. So as I mentioned before, we can hardly do any component that you need for the electric vehicle. So there's also support from that side of the business.
I mean, can you give us some best practice with the cooperation with OEMs?
Oh, with current other OEMs? Yeah, when we have relationships with different OEMs around the world. We worked with OEMs out of the US for many years, and there was also a similar situation that we had to localize some components here. As an example, sending big sheet metals across the ocean or from China into Europe is very costly because transportation costs has also gone up over the last years. And we have nearby a stamping facility that can easily do most of the stampings that you need for a body shell. So that's one example.
Yeah, and currently, most Chinese OEM go to Europe. The major products are EV. Will that bring some differences when you cooperate with those OEMs?
No, we are used to work with all propulsion systems, and I know you have seen a line just recently when you walked through our plant. So we can do combustion engine, hybrid solutions, or pure battery electric vehicles. It's part of our flexibility that we can offer.
So whatever the products they are, you can also enable them.
Yes, it doesn't matter. But you're right, the majority of the Chinese OEMs that we see in Europe right now are coming with EVs, but there are others, they're also bringing a product portfolio to Europe, including combustion engines.
Yeah. Another challenge for globalization is the diversify of the different markets, especially the culture, consumers, and the regulation, a lot of things. Based on your experience and understanding, can you give us some suggestions, especially those who want to go to Europe?
I think when you look at the product, majority of the products that we are aware of are already homologated for the global markets. So that's not a big issue. There might be the one or the other company who has not yet homologated the vehicle outside of China. We are able to support with that as well through our engineering services. I think the bigger challenge and the other challenge is when you try to manufacture in Europe, there are different regulations. Even within the European Union, there are different rules and regulations, and in some cases they're totally different than doing business in China. So you need to obviously know about it and be used to work and adhere to those rules and regulations. This is where we also can help, because it could be very painful when you get in new regions, and there might be a lot of time where you have lots of learnings. But as I said at the beginning, time is of the essence, so you want to go to the market very quickly.
How about the situation of the electrification currently in Europe? Is that a little slower?
I think there were different opinions about how fast the electrification will happen, and I wouldn't say just broadly it's slower or faster. I think it varies from region to region. There are regions where you find other benefits and additional promotion to transition from a combustion engine to an electric vehicle, and there are regions where it's not that promoted, so to say. So I think it's continuing on, it's coming, but it's coming at different pace in different regions.
So the BEV actually become more and more expensive right now, but the hybrid or IEEV, I'm not sure whether the IEV will be a good choice for Europe market.
They're range extended vehicles. We don't see that in Europe at all right now. I mean, we do have hybrids since quite some years, and some products are very successful. But range extended vehicles, I'm only aware of one or two products. I know they're becoming more and more popular in China.
And for the younger generation of consumers, can you share some insights about what's happened right now in Europe?
About the young generation?
Yeah.
I think they don't look at vehicles like I do and I did. They have different aspects of what the vehicle needs to offer, and I think a lot of it has to do with the communications, how they can communicate within the vehicle, with the vehicle, and what technical gadgets the vehicle offers. That's very important to them. And I think similar what I see in China, very important, is everything that obviously the vehicle brings from an IT perspective.
Yeah.
And this is something the young people in Europe also want to see in a vehicle.
Another feature of Chinese OEMs products is that it's very connected. very smart. You can use the car as a third digital space, spend a lot of time in the car to watch TV, sing karaoke, meeting, a lot of things. Will that be happening in Europe?
Hard to tell.
Hard to tell.
I think what I just said, younger people, yes, because they grew up already with their smartphones and everything, so they're more used to it. But there's still a fair population of people who are used to the old style of vehicles. They're looking more at the design and the attributes that the vehicle brings along.
So hard to tell.
Hard to tell how it will develop. I think once we see more and more products coming into Europe and people understand how convenient such gadgets are and systems are, they may want such systems as well on their products in the future.
Okay. On their way to go global, any suggestion from your side? I mean, for OEM to go to globalization, what kind of way they usually should take?
I think they should be cautious, not knowing how the market share will be at the end of the day. Again, it comes back to huge investment and not knowing how the market share will be. You may spend the money and it's a waste of money at the end of the day. So coming back to Magna, what we can offer is a seamless approach. So we can start with a so-called SKD operation, where we assemble just a few modules together to complete vehicle. And then depending on the success in the market, we can seamlessly expand that to a complete CPU production. Which means don't spend the money when you don't need it, spend it when you know that you actually need it, and that's what we can offer.
Magna has a history more than 125. That's a long history.
Yes.
Now, when we talk about auto industry, actually it's totally new for the electrification, for the intelligence, a lot of new things. How Magna evolved from the combustion era to a new era?
I think we are doing well. If you look at our product portfolio 10 or 15 years ago and the product portfolio today, everything that you see in the transition you just mentioned from a combustion engine to an EV, we have all the system and components that you need to offer that. So as an example, electric drive motors, we have within our electronics group, radar, lidar, and some other features and sensors that you need for such smarter and different products. So we are at, I would say, the leading edge of that transformation as well when it comes to our offerings and our product portfolio.
How make that happen? I mean, the reason behind the capability, how you can make that happen? Because it's totally new, and we see the new startup companies or IT companies or a lot of traditional companies, actually they will spend a lot of efforts to make something happen, but you do a lot of things.
Yes.
What's the secret?
It goes back to what I said at the beginning, our DNA, with that entrepreneurial spirit and mindset, being innovative, that also drives us. We also want to get to the next thing, the next step, do things better than we did it yesterday. And with that mindset and spirit, I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's part of our daily work that we think ahead what's tomorrow and what's after tomorrow, and this is how we develop our products.
Yeah, so it's a DNA, it's culture.
Definitely
it's part
DNA.
of the culture of the
Yes.
corporate.
Yes.
How about the training of the talents, or what's your recruitment strategies on this part?
I think since our people is our core value for everything that we do, whether it's engineering, manufacturing, even the product groups, we spend quite a lot of efforts in recruiting, hiring the right people, and training the people. And training doesn't end, obviously, once you bring somebody on board. He or she gets trained for certain aspects of her or his job. Training is a constant thing that we do on an ongoing basis. So once you are at Magna, you will never stop learning and getting support in learning new things every day. That's also part of our daily business, so to say.
Magna have a global presence with about 345 factories.
Yes.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's a lot.
It's a
Factory.
big company, global network, and it's also very, very interesting within Magna to see how we work together on a global basis. So it's not that those are silos and individual islands. When we, in this example Magna Steyr, when we execute programs for customers, we utilize the team at the customer site, working with Chinese OEMs. We have a very strong team in China, so they can communicate in the native language with the customer. And then there's a seamless transition of information between our China team to the European team. So we also can work literally 24 hours around the day. We have a team in the US as well, so that really supports efficient processes in executing programs for our customers.
When we talk about the cooperation with Chinese OEM, one of the challenges for global tiers usually will be the speed, because they need very, very fast. Will that be a problem for Magna and Magna Steyr?
No.
No?
We are fast and agile. I think if you would talk to some of our traditional existing customers, this is what they also like about working with us. A high degree of flexibility and fast and agile.
Based on current situation, we see there is a lot of Chinese OEM that are eager to go to Europe, and not an easy job because we see a lot of regulations, a lot of challenges, competition here. So if you look forward, let's say 5 years, 2030, what's your opinion on that year?
I don't have a crystal ball, which makes it difficult to forecast the future.
Probably based on the,
And my personal opinion is that we will see a few Chinese OEMs in Europe being successful and having a certain market share. I think that's my personal opinion. Whether those products will all be manufactured in Europe will have to be seen. I think a lot is depending on the final tariff situation, which may drive or not drive a localization here in Europe. But I do see a market share for Chinese OEMs in Europe.
How will you cooperate with them? I mean, different models or?
With the Chinese OEMs, it depends. I mentioned already flexibility in terms of manufacturing and complexity that we can deal with, but also in terms of cooperation and the business models we offer, we're also highly flexible. We can have an arrangement where we do purchasing, supply chain management, and engineering service, or just one of those services. It really depends, always depends on the needs of our customers, and we will come back with a tailor-made solution.
You just talk about the supply chain, because it's really important for the success of a car as a complete product in the area. So what kind of advantage of Magna and Magna Steyr have to provide this kind of supply chain advantages to them?
Yeah, number one, we can provide purchasing services, which means we can go out and select certain suppliers. We can do all the quotes and then come back with a recommendation to the OEM and say we would recommend to go with that supplier. On top of that, and this is again what makes us unique, we have our own groups, which are also obviously very strong in Europe with many facilities, and we can bring our groups to the table as well, and they can offer also some expertise when it comes to localization of certain components.
It seems that you have an ecosystem.
Yes.
To help them.
Yes.
Oh, okay. And we noticed that some Chinese OEM actually they choose to build joint venture to go global. For example, the Nippon Motor, they have a joint venture with Stellantis.
Yes.
But BYD or Chery actually they choose to build their own factory.
Yes.
To develop the market. Either way, you can cooperate with them.
Yes. We could cooperate still with them if they would want to. So we're open and flexible again.
It depends on the customer's requirements.
It depends on the customer requirements, yes. And I think you mentioned BYD as an example or SAIC, those are the two current most successful Chinese OEMs in Europe. I mean, they have at least SAIC for sure, a very significant volume already. I think if you have a certain volume like SAIC already, that may justify building your own facility rather than partnering up with somebody. But still, at the end of the day, it's still a risk because you don't know how sustainable that business is at the end of the day.
Have you ever tried their products?
What, SAIC
or Chinese cars?
Yeah, many times, many times. You know, within our joint venture in China, we also have a test track at our facility, and we have had opportunities to drive many different Chinese products there.
What impressed you most when you're trying those cars?
I think the IT solutions, what you said, all that HMI, the intelligence that are in those vehicles, this is very unique. I also did recognize the quality on the interior. So there's a lot of focus on the interior of the vehicle, high quality, and they are fun to drive for sure.
When those cars go to Europe, should they redefine some functions? Or they just use the same?
It depends on the vehicle. For some vehicles, we would highly recommend to do so. There might be certain features which are not appreciated by the customer, and you may spend money on something that you can sell to a customer. And there might be the one or the other feature that the customer expects in Europe that isn't on the product in China. It's not a huge list, but we noticed a few things that we would recommend to change to make it unique for the European taste of our customers.
I just talked with one of my friends in Germany. He mentioned that here the average age of a car usually lasts for 12 years. But in China, in EV, you know, it's shorter.
Yeah, 12 years. I think when you look at the European market, two things happened, and it goes back to the pandemic. First of all, the market did shrink significantly by almost 5 million vehicles a year. So we currently have a market of around about 17 million. So the market did shrink, which means people are buying less products, which means on the other hand, they're keeping their products longer. And this is what we also have seen, shrinking market, and that drives obviously what you just said, the 12 years. That wasn't always that case in Europe. It was a different number a few years ago, but that's the current situation. So I think in order to promote the market, there are incentives needed for people to buy products again.
If they want to build a brand, trust, I mean, for the new brand from China come to Europe, what kind of suggestion you can offer them?
Use existing dealerships. That's the most important thing.
Dealership.
Yes, we've seen some companies, and that's not just Chinese companies, but new brands coming in the market and trying to build up their own sales channels, and very few have succeeded. The only one that I would say has succeeded is Tesla, but it took them quite a long time to become successful. So where we do see that companies are successful selling products like SAIC with the MG brand, they are using existing dealerships because the European customer in general is a loyal customer, also loyal to his dealership. And when he had made good experiences with the dealership and the dealership offers a new brand, he would trust them. And it's an easy way to build up your brand. But besides that, you also have to spend quite some money on the marketing efforts.
To make to make people
aware of it, yes.
Yes.
I mean, it was very noticeable what BYD did during the soccer championship. They were present all over those weeks, and everybody noticed them all of a sudden.
And also find a very good partner to help them build their ecosystem here.
Yes.
Okay, so anything you want to say to your Chinese potential customers? That's really important.
No. Again, we are really eager to support you, number one, and we have solutions that really can help you and become successful in Europe in a reasonable time frame. I think that's also important.
So should work together to grasp the window time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Hope to see you next time in Shanghai Auto Show.
Yes. Yeah. We'll see you there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.